Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. I'm gonna do roll call. Commissioner Sturm,
Present.
Commissioner Mason,
Present.
Commissioner Heising,
Present.
Commissioner Farzan. I'm not sure if he. Excused, okay. Vice Chair Radnich
Present.
and Chair LaBunch present. Adoption of, adoption of the agenda. Roll call, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Continued public comments. What? Oh,
Not on the agenda.
yeah, okay. Are there any, hold on, sorry. Oh, any public comments that are not on tonight's agenda? Thank you. Put up.
I have 2 speaker slips for an agenda item. If there are any speakers who are not speaking on tonight's agenda item, please give me a speaker slip.
Did you need a card? You wanted, yeah. Oh, you were one of those?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll need a couple more minutes.
Okay. All the slips that we have are for tonight's agenda item. And I will check the Zoom.
You're for tonight? Okay,
Yes.
okay, gotcha. All right, so, and you're gonna check online, you said?
Yes, if anyone online on the Zoom meeting would like to make a comment for an item that's not, or for something that's not on the agenda tonight, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none.
All righty. All right, so for consent calendar, does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent calendar or any public comments?
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, roll call, favor, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 5-0. Continued public hearing. Turn it over to staff, please. Is it better if we make a little space?
Yes, unfortunately, the setup is going to require you to look at the TV. Fortunately, most of this information I already provided at the March 18th meeting. Give me 1 second. Sharing my screen so it's easier for those on Zoom. Okay, thank you, commissioners. Tonight I am presenting L521, a land use permit to allow the conditional use of a convenience market activity and at an existing commercial building. This item was last discussed at the March 18th PC meeting. Just to recap, the property is located in the general commercial zoning district with the underlying land use designation of West End Commercial. This prioritizes a mix of commercial, residential, and office uses, though the building is currently vacant and has been for over 5 years. The project proposes to, operate a Circle K convenience store in the space, which is currently laid out as an office. The site shares a rear parking lot with the adjacent office building and another vacant commercial building on the property, and parking at the rear lot will be designated for employees as well as deliveries. The applicant is proposing hours of operation from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. with up to 2 employees per shift. The project site is surrounded by a variety of uses, including offices, a restaurant and cafe, commercial, and multifamily residential. There are currently no convenience stores in the west end of Lafayette, though there are examples of other convenience markets in the downtown and east end districts. Currently, on-street parking at this section of Mount Diablo is not formally delineated through striping or meters. The city's Mount Diablo Surface Seal project, which was recently adopted by the council, will establish angled parking spaces in this public right-of-way area in front of both Diamond K and the proposed Circle K. And this parking configuration has been developed with consideration to pedestrian and cyclist safety. The Surface Seal project proposes 3 10-foot wide angled spaces and 1 12 or 14-foot wide accessible parking space. The applicant for Circle K proposes this parking design, which is consistent with the city's approved Mount Diablo Surface Seal project. However, this parking will not be reserved for customers. It is possible that this parking could be metered, but that has not yet been confirmed. The site is within walking distance to the Lafayette BART station, several office buildings, and residential developments, will serve many pedestrians. As the site is within 1/2 mile to the Lafayette BART station, the city can require parking for the new use under state law AB 2097. The project's traffic engineer recommends restricting parking in the rear to employees only and deliveries, meaning that the applicant is proposing no off-street customer parking. As conditioned, if approved, deliveries would be limited to between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. to reduce disturbances to neighboring residents. If delivery drivers double park along the street in front, they would be subject to parking citations, but enforcement might prove difficult. There were comments from the March 18th hearing that I have included here as reference. Concerns included parking, access to the store through only one entry and exit if the lift were to break down, delivery trucks parking in front of the store and blocking traffic. And we also received one comment letter today, which was added to the agenda as an update that is against the use, that it's not an essential business, will create traffic issues and will become a nuisance. The project is generally consistent with the underlying land use designation of West End Commercial, given the issues presented with parking, traffic potential, delivery drivers double parking. The project still can make the findings for approval. Staff has prepared both an approval resolution and a denial resolution based on the direction of the commission on March 18th. Based on the discussion during that meeting, it was unclear whether the commission could fully and affirmatively make finding number 1 and number 5 specifically. Staff has not received any new information that would necessitate a change from the original recommendation. And therefore, staff highlights the following project-specific conditions of approval, with one change in the conditioned hours of operation. Previously, staff recommended a reduced operation of 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Staff is now recommending operation between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. This is consistent with the quick stop downtown. And staff recommends the Planning Commission finds the project exempt from CEQA and adopts resolution 2024-03, approving the project subject to conditions. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any clarifying questions of staff?
I don't have a clarifying question, but I am looking at my material on my phone tonight, so I'm not on my phone. I'm looking at the material. Okay, just to put that out there.
Same.
I'll let you keep that on TikTok.
Okay.
I have one question.
Sure.
On the double parking of trucks, and I don't mean this towards the applicant, because I know every delivered truck double parks. I think you said that the enforcement really goes to the driver of the truck. It doesn't go to the business that they're delivering to. Is that?
That's
that
correct. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Oh, sorry.
So I had a related question. So you, in the staff report, you said that double parking, even though let me back up. I had proposed a condition of approval at the prior hearing that there be added a condition of approval that specifically prohibited the double parking. You spoke to it at this presentation, and you said enforcement might prove to be difficult, and based on the chair's question, the enforcement would be aimed towards the driver of the vehicle. However, if it repeatedly occurred, could not the land use permit be revoked by not following the conditions of approval?
I'm not sure about the process for enforcing that, but it would be an infraction of the conditions of approval.
if it were made a condition.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Along the same lines, what if we find out later that it's basically just untenable? My experience has been there are times due to weather, whatever, people take that as a shortcut coming home from work because 680 blocks up and it's stopped dead past almost to the reservoir. And if we're at one lane instead of two, it's even worse. Would we have the option of coming back and revoking that permit? Because again, driver doesn't care and there's no penalty for the
Mhm.
store as I see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the process would look like for that.
So once an entitlement is granted, then number one, it runs with the land, so it would stay with whoever's operating the use. And then in order to revoke it, we have to make certain findings. It's kind of a deep process. It wouldn't be a simple one condition that's not being adhered to would be sufficient to revoke the use. Once the entitlement is invoked, then it's really difficult to take it away, so to speak. The revocation process here, actually, I don't know exactly what those steps are, but typically we have to do an investigation, build up the record, and then make findings that would support the revocation, but it's really quite difficult. The best thing to do is to adopt standards of operation that would result in a favorable experience.
Any questions? Okay, let's see, would the applicant like to present then?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Muthana Rain. I'm the architect for the proposed Circle K. First, I would like to distribute a letter from the owner and a memo from our traffic engineer. I think it was posted on the website, but I'm not sure if you got the chance to
Think we got it.
get a copy.
Yeah, it was on the website.
Oh, it was on the website, you got it?
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So we're proposing a convenience store at the west of town. The convenience store service, as I indicated last meeting, is a quick service for customers that are in a hurry to get a snack and coffee and be on their way. If it is in the morning or if it is in the afternoon, it's different than the services that Trader Joe's or Safeway provides. Like if you want to get a snack in a coffee or a drink from Safeway or Trader Joe's, it's going to take approximately 15 to 20 minutes to get in and out. The convenience store is only 5 minutes. In the city of Lafayette, we have 7-Eleven on the east side of town. We don't have anything on the west side. We think it's going to be successful business on that side, on this side. The customer prediction, according to the business plan for the owner, is 300 customer per day. And those customers, they're going to be arriving either walking, biking, or driving. Most of the customers, they're going to be from downtown Lafayette, from the residential, properties around the site, the commercial. There is a new residential project across the street that's going to serve that. And we are, regarding the parking and the improvement of the public right of way, we agreed with Public Works on the striping, and we're on the same page with them. We are, agreeing with the conditions of approval that the planning department put forward. Regarding the delivery, it has to be from the back door. That's for the interest of the business. I know the city, concerned about that, but the owner will replace any vendor that doesn't follow up. And the reason for that is it does not meet the the image of the business that the owner is looking for to get. First of all, if the delivery comes from the front, it's gonna restrict the access to customer and convenience. Basically, the delivery is gonna be from 7 to 7 during business hours. And if it is from the front, it's gonna restrict the convenience of the customer. That's not gonna work for the business. The second thing is that if there is any delivery other than the back door, it will not meet the image of the business. And regarding the lift will be from a high quality product. It will be maintained periodically to ensure that it's gonna work reliably and provide service. Regarding the parking in front in the right of way, we are open for restricting the parking via meter, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or via sign, 15 to 20 minutes. We have no issues with that. I'd like to go over the item in the letter that the planning department received from one of the neighbors this afternoon. The first item was the convenience store is not a service essential, and they're comparing it to Safeway or Trader Joe's, which I just indicated there is no comparison. Basically, like I said, it is essential. This west side of town does not have a convenience store. The customer for Diamond K and the employee for Diamond K, they're gonna be coming to the convenience store to purchase what they need while they are there. Regarding the traffic, our traffic study suggested that there is no impact on the intersection in the vicinity, and our traffic engineer can elaborate on that. So by having the project is not going to impact the traffic in the on the intersections. Regarding the crime, I think the letter suggests that the crime is associated with convenience store. We think crimes is tied to the area, not the business itself. People come to the convenience store because they like it, the convenience service that they get. Like if they're coming back from work, they want to stop to get 6-pack of beer and run home. Maybe it's faster than going to Safeway or Trader Joe's. With that, I conclude my presentation. I'm here to answer any question you have. I have our traffic engineer and a consultant with us to answer any question you have.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll open up to the commission. Anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I do have a question. Oh, sorry. My name.
Oh, yeah, Vice Chair.
I do have a question because it's something I want to talk about later during the deliberation. So for your traffic consultant, it says here, so on the back of the memo you passed around on page 4, the bottom of U-turns on Mount Diablo, the second paragraph. In order to access the site, it is assumed inbound trips from the east, so going west, that 60% would have to perform a U-turn maneuver at the existing 2-way left turn lane or at the downstream intersection immediately west of the site. Driving here tonight, I see the downstream light would be the light to turn into the city offices. So during traffic time, afternoon, when cars are backed up going east on Mount Diablo and cars are stopped because everyone's taking ways, when someone's coming west, now they're backing up. Is I guess the assumption that there's enough room in that little stretch for cars to queue to make a U-turn into stop traffic to cut across 2 lanes of traffic to find a parking spot to go to Circle K. Is that the assumption that in that little stretch right there from the median to the light?
Good afternoon. Just for the record, my name is Stephen Dowman. I'm a senior transportation engineer with TJ Gannon Consultants. We've been in this area for close to 50 years, providing traffic engineering resources. In terms of, to answer your question over there, with the new signal in place, that will create additional gas for traffic to be able to make that U-turn, whether it's at the signal itself or for protected U-turn, or to find gaps where that, it used to be a median, a two-way left turn lane. Now it's just a median that allows for the left turns. And so either way, they're able to find it. I was over there for about a good solid hour this afternoon. I didn't see any queues going back past where that median opens up to a point where it would prohibit any U-turns making that U-turn movement. The critical U-turn period is during the PM rush hour. That's about 50 U-turns there. Most of that is existing traffic that's just trying to use the convenience of the store. We call that a pass-by trip, and I was kind of explaining that memo a little bit in detail. And that constitutes about 1 U-turn per minute.
Okay. And so that light that is going in definitely will have a U-turn option.
It will allow for it at this point. You can make
At
a
this
U-turn.
point.
I saw people making U-turns there today.
But the light isn't active right
Correct.
now. Yeah.
But
Okay.
people are able to make a U-turn from that left turn right now, with or without the light.
Okay, thank you.
And that brings up a good question, if I didn't think about it till then. Because some of the streets in downtown have a no U-turn sign, even though there's a light. We wouldn't necessarily know that right now unless someone in city staff knew that, how that was entitled. Cause the light's gonna be green, but the green's to come into the city offices if there's a turn. Right? But if there's no, I'm assuming that you can make a U-turn, but do we actually know that? Do we know it's not gonna be a no U-turn left turn?
So kind of going into a little bit of the signals design aspect of that, that was done by a different firm, but I can kind of correlate to how it's done at my firm. And so what really dictates whether or not you restrict U-turns is if it has the ability to make it with the wheelbase. And again, looking at the physics, people are doing that today. I was able to do it a couple of times today.
Yeah.
And so I don't see any reason why it would be restricted unless something comes up in terms of a safety issue. There's a lot of crashes that are involved with it. Then the city might go back and change the design of that to restrict the U-turning movement.
Okay, yeah, I think the places where they do have it are where we have the bulb out.
Yeah.
On the corners, and that kind of cuts down that U-turn,
Correct.
like at Dewey, I think has that. Okay, all right, thank you. Are there any other questions we have? I had a couple other ones. Is the tenant, is a representative from the tenant here? The end tenant?
I think there's a speaker card.
Oh, they're actually here?
Which thing? Sorry.
The Circle K, yeah.
Circle K, owner is not here.
Okay,
I'm his architect.
okay. Well, I'll ask you then. You had mentioned, so my biggest concern, quite frankly, parking is a concern, but I feel that if it's not parked well, people won't use it, and then the business will suffer and the business will go away, just natural supply and demand. But the part that really bothers me is the trucks, and I work at a retailer, I know how these work, and the trucks will park wherever the trucks wanna park, they don't care. And I see it all the time going through Lafayette downtown, even right in the main part, you know, I think Starbucks delivery is probably one of the worst. Right at Lafayette Circle, is that Lafayette Circle? And it made, in thinking about this, I thought we should go talk to them. So, you know, you can't park there. You're not supposed to park there because it's right at rush hour. So anyways, under that kind of mantra that I believe will happen, I think you said that the owner wouldn't allow it. And I fully believe that, I think. But is the owner gonna be there all the time? Is the owner gonna be working
Sure.
every hour it's open? Because what I have seen a lot of times is there's a difference between an owner running a place and an employee running a place. And sometimes truck guys and women, they're on a schedule. They don't really care. They're gonna take the path of least resistance. So I just don't really believe that they're not going to park out in front and wheel it in, as opposed to trying to back down that alley or however they get, or pull down the alley and turn it on and get back up.
So to answer your question, the owner, has this store in the most important location for him. He's basically in the office next door. And when we first talk about creating this store in this area is to be like a test store for his other 40 stores around California, Northern California, and they have some down south. And they want to try different products and see what's gonna work better. So he's gonna keep an eye on it. Like I say, he is every day over next door in his office. His office is the next building. He owns both buildings.
Wait, he owns the building,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, he owns both buildings.
I mean, you're opening up other thoughts for me, because I was really struggling why a tenant would go there, quite frankly, but you're changing the economics, well, if he owns the building,
Yeah,
I'm sure he's giving himself good rent, which he is more than welcome to do.
he is there every day.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Commissioner Mason?
More for the traffic engineer, for your studies for rush hour. When weighs it, how far do you see the traffic backing up on Mount Diablo? Because the concern is that whether you're making a left or a U-turn, we're going to have to block off that intersection so that people can make a left and make a U-turn. And that will essentially just push traffic farther back. And if they, double park there, and chances are it's gonna be 7 o'clock or wherever, when, the owner is left for the day, going for the family, that would push it back even farther. So the concern is, upstream, are we looking at any potential adverse impacts elsewhere?
Give me 1 second.
There,
Yeah.
can I tear off your question, Commissioner Mason? While you're pulling up that information, that triggers my question, which is, when does the PM peak start? That afternoon PM peak, if Waze is directing everybody on Mount Diablo. Because I'm going somewhere in my mind with condition of approval, related to the deliveries tied to the PM peak.
So, to kind of answer your question on, let's start with the PMP, because I think that's a little bit easier to kind of explain. When we do traffic studies, typically, there's a 2 to 3 hour gap when we collect traffic data. And so we'll collect it in 15-minute intervals saying, okay, how many cars are turning left at this intersection? How many cars are turning right? How many cars are going through? And then we kind of look at the culmination of all of our study intersections to determine, okay, at these intersections, when is the highest number of vehicles being processed through those intersections? For the PMP hour, we typically study between 4 to 6 p.m. Usually when we start a traffic study, we go to planning, we go to the traffic engineering department. We provide a scope saying, hey, this is the point that we're going to analyze. Do we need to adjust our hours or not? So that is a vetted thing. So it's a 1 hour period, usually within a 2 to 3 hour window that we look at. And so again, that ranges for our collection time between about 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. from what I recall. To answer your question on queues, the traffic study did analyze 95th percentile queues at our study intersections. And that showed a change in what we call maximum delays by about 40 feet. That constitutes about 2 vehicles. Usually your headway is about 25 feet, so about a little less than 2 vehicles there, and increased queues during your rush hours. And when we say maximum queues, it's not going to be your average. It's going to be the 1 in 20 that it's going to extend past that far.
Follow-up question, when did you do the study? Because my experience has been the queue is much worse in the winter when the weather starts getting bad than in, and it gets dark earlier than in the summer when, or hey, even when there's COVID and there's not as many people on the road.
So originally, when we started this study, it was back in 2019. We collected counts in all of 2019. We started processing the traffic impact study pre-COVID. And then one of our comments that we received from the planning was your counts are a little bit on the older side because just a little bit of a hiatus of the project. So we went back and collected new data back in 2022. And I believe we collected in February of 2022.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? anyone? All right, oh, so-
I just had a general question for staff. Is this project going to the design review commission?
It will not require design review commission.
But it will require the signage committee?
Yeah, so the signage isn't under consideration now. When they do submit for a sign permit, that would go to DRC, you're correct, yeah, but it's not part of the current scope.
But none of the colors or materials for the facade or anything would be under review?
Not at this time, no. I believe they are showing existing colors and the only thing they would need to propose is signage at that time.
Thank you.
all right, I think since we don't have any more for the applicant, thank you. We'll now open it up for public comment. So I have a number of slips and then maybe we have people on line. So I'll call this out. You don't just do it in your seat, please. We can hear everyone. We have 3 minutes and we'll have the timer up on the chairman. And if you could just please keep it up. So the first one is Trudy Moore, please.
Yeah, my name's Judy Moore. I'm the president of the HOA of the residential building adjacent behind where the convenience store would go in. And all of our homeowners are really objecting to this. I think it came into our focus since the March meeting in large part, but we are against it. Several of the homeowners sent a letter this morning notifying the staff of some of the objections. The staff report said there had been no new information, but that must have come out before the letter was received this morning and acknowledged. I don't know if you got the letter, but if there.
That's the one from William Curtis.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got it.
Okay. And we have concerns, particularly the fact that it is a convenience store because it's a magnet. Convenience stores, unfortunately, while convenient for people buying things, they're also magnet for crime. 7-Eleven, as you know, has had 3 robberies in the last couple of years. And that worries us. This area was kind of a blight. It's really come up in an upswing in recent years. We have a lot of nice office buildings. We have that unit across the street on Mount Diablo that's gone in. That's very positive. And we don't want it going through and backtracking the way it had been. There's lots and lots of residential areas around. We'd like it to be quiet and safe.
Thank you. Okay, any questions for the speaker? All right, thank you, Trudy. I'll go to the next one. Andy Betts, and I'll just read the next name so you don't get surprised. It's Hussein I can't read.
Corey, would you mind if you put me last?
You get back
I represent the applicant. It just might make sense for me.
Oh, okay.
There will also be a rebuttal period.
Yeah, there'll be a rebuttal for the applicant, so I'd rather just put, because I don't, you know.
Because frankly, I'd like to hear what comments are rather than repeat what.
Okay, well, you're gonna get a rebuttal from the applicant at the end, so do you wanna just use that time for it?
You already rebutted our letter. You had it.
Well, hold on a second, guys, hold on. How about this? So this is 3 minutes. After everyone's spoken, then the applicant will get to rebut, and you're part of the applicant, you can rebut.
I do, so I'll just rather than.
Yeah, and
That makes sense.
The
That's
rebuttal period's fine.
Yeah, so you'll have more time there,
I get
okay.
it, okay.
All right, so the person after Andy then would be Everett. Okay, so Andy, you're up.
Hey, thanks, everybody. I am a local homeowner and part of this also this HOA, so basically. My house is just a couple of fences over from where those deliveries are gonna get dropped off. Also, I am very pro-business. My wife and I own a business in the La Miranda area, have been here for many years. There's several things that are concerning. We know one of the things with Lafayette is, people jump off the freeway, do a quick robbery, jump back on the freeway. And that happens at that end of town, so hopefully that's not an issue over here, but the trucks is going to be one of the biggest problems we have here, as everybody's mentioned, is people jumping off the freeway at the end of the day and coming through town. We absolutely have to have those two lanes. The not knowing what kind of trucks you guys are gonna have in here. If you got trucks coming down this way, they're gonna be trying to make a U-turn to.
Andy, excuse me, just please address to the
Okay.
planning commission.
Yeah, they're gonna be they could be trying to make a U-turn to get in front of the building. To get them to back in, not knowing what kind they are, if they're gonna back in You know, if they're a 20-foot with a cab, they're gonna have to cut off traffic and then back down the driveway. I would additionally add that we want to make sure that there's an idling policy so that the trucks aren't allowed to idle, because you've got that, I think, 3 stories of that apartment complex right there. Idling, a lot of the trucks like to idle after they stop, keep the trucks warm. And then on top of that, you've got air starts, which are really loud, especially in the morning. Those of us that live here, we're already contending, and on Saturday and Sunday mornings, we've got to deal, well, not Sunday mornings, we've got to deal with, yard at 2 at a time getting dropped into steel truck beds. That wakes everybody up already here because of the gravel place. Trader Joe's, you say Starbucks, Trader Joe's is horrible for trucks because they come in from all directions and they're 20-foot, sometimes 40-foot trucks. Sometimes they go through the neighborhood, but they always block traffic. And so everybody has to sit and wait for them to back up, pull up, back up. Some of these guys are rookie drivers and it's really dangerous because they're not good truck drivers. We're already contending with that, so we would just be adding to that policy. Again, we've got 2 of these units down at the other end of the town. I don't know why we need to have 3. Arenda, I think, has maybe 1. Moraga has 1. Why do we need 3?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, I've watched the trucks in front of, Trader Joe's, and I am quite impressed with those truck drivers. If you've ever watched them from Oyama, you know, they look like they're gonna take the building out and they somehow back all the way in, but it does interrupt traffic, I get that, but they're pretty amazing, so. Anyways,
Just real quick question, have you ever complained to the city about the trucks and the deliveries and stuff like that in your neighborhood?
Used to, before they built the 13, or what was proposed to be 13 units, now 6, but when that was a single house over there, and I was begging Trader Joe's to buy the property so they could use that as a truck turnaround, it would have been much safer for everybody. But probably went too high for them, and I think they probably lease that property anyway. It is horribly dangerous though, and you've got, you know, not only people jogging and heading for the reservoir, but you've got moms with babies that are walking up and down that sidewalk, and you've got 20 and 40-foot trucks backing up down the sidewalk. Not good.
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Everett, you're up.
Yeah, I'm a
Can you say
resident.
your last name for the record as well?
Everett Moore.
you.
I'm a resident on the same HOA, and my concerns are the same, traffic. I can't really improve on what Andy said it all there. It's already a really congested area, I can only imagine it's much more congested. The other one is the crime though, as earlier mentioned, the 7-Eleven been robbed 3 times at gunpoint in the last year and a half. On the other side of town, so I think it would be a real magnet for crime. That's very concerning. We already heard a lot of police chases now at night. At least one of these 7-Eleven robberies, I think, resulted in a police chase. So I'm concerned about criminal element coming to the area.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Speaker, excuse me. So I'm gonna read the next name and then I'll read the next. So Cheryl McDonald is next, and then P. Hensley, not entirely sure. It's
Yes, that's first name.
Okay. Okay, Cheryl, you're up.
Hi, I'm Sharon McDonald and I'm involved with the Songbird Court. And I have a lot of the concerns that have been mentioned. There have been 3 robberies. One, they parked at the gas station there and sent someone over to the 7-Eleven to buy something. And the other person came around and the robbery didn't happen. It's very concerning that could happen now. There's already issues at Safeway. They closed this door on the east side, which is by the liquor, so that people have to work harder to get the liquor out of the Safeway. Now they're just walking out of the store with it, and they have a police car that sits there at night, and they have roaming. So we're asking for another store that is having it. That's 2 stores that are having issues. At Safeway that's open 24/7. 7-Eleven, that one robbery that I mentioned, there was 7 at night. So I'm really concerned that would happen here. The difference between the Quick Stop and this one is that the Quick Stop is on the north side of Golden Gateway. And this project, and it's not near any residential, there's commercial across the street from it, and then there's residential. This project backs up to a fence that is our fence. So if we had any issues like that and someone was being chased, they would probably be blocked and they would jump into our area versus having a more easy access if they were at a quick stop or someone. So I worry about things like that. The congestion on the east end, there are a lot of trucks that just park wherever they want because they can. I think a lot of them try to do the right thing, but if the owner is next door, is he there all the time? Or is he a property owner that he lives there and stays there all the time, or is he, traveling around to the different stores that he owns and stuff like that? So he's not necessarily going to be there all the time, even though he's a property. I respect that, but he just can't be there all the time. So whether or not they're going to be trying to get away with it, they do it in other parts of town. So those are all my concerns: is robbery, crime, and congestion. And I think the backup will be greater with ways. I think that if anyone stops it, I think it's be further than what was mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Sharon. Paula, and then next up to Paula will be Anna Coleman.
Thank you very much. I actually wrote the letter that was sent to the planning commission today. And I have spoke with a number of the homeowners in the Lafayette Mountain View Homeowner Association, the homes of which do back up and abut this proposed project. And it seems that generally we all, as we've heard tonight, oppose this for a variety of reasons and very important reasons. Number one, I don't think the issue of this business is a potential magnet for sort of problems that don't need to be intensified in this area. It should be just thoughtlessly not considered. I think that is a very important thing. The business proposed actually brings in another retail, miscellaneous grocery, alcohol, cigarette sale location kind of on the other side of Mountain View Drive, very close to all of us who are residents and sort of generally the area of Bickerstaff and of Mountain View Drive. There doesn't seem to be, from what I've heard tonight, any sort of facts that are really countering the concern that I have. Mr. Curtis has had, who's also sort of worked with me on the letter. And others in our association, that there is particular sort of necessity that this would be a good and appropriate use for this building and this part of town. I think the point that others have made, that there are already two sort of quick mini marts in Lafayette, and the contrast with Moraga Orinda, I think that's significant, that another homeowner, Andy, mentioned. I think that's something that should be fully considered and not just sort of written off as, oh, well, we'll have another business here. I too, my husband, we are, so we support local business, but this one seems to be the wrong thing at this time. The other question that I don't hear any response to, other than just kind of a slight, well, there, other businesses, so why not? The important thing is there are other businesses. Safeway is open very late. It was mentioned by Ms. McDonald Cheryl that, again, we already have police cars there sort of watching entrance and egress. That tells us something, but again, access in terms of walkable locations to obtain whatever, sort of retail items we may want or need at any particular time up until late in the hours, that's already available. Trader Joe's is open until 9. We all know Trader Joe's, everything is available there for the most part. CVS, late hours as well, I believe up until 10 o'clock. And of course, Diablo Foods, there's Whole Foods. So the point I'm not hearing is that this type of project is something that actually would be.
You mind wrapping it up? I didn't realize your time.
Okay, would be
Like the
an
next 5
appropriate
seconds,
use and something that would be necessary for this part of town.
Thank you.
All right, the timer typically does a chime, I apologize.
As long as somebody taps me, thank you. All right, next we have, Anna Coleman, and then after Anna is, wait, was Trudy the first one?
Yeah.
Trudy, you gotta go again.
I'll make
Anna.
one other point.
Anna, Coleman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anna McGrath Coleman. I own Diamond Cave.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. And I actually put that in my, I filled out the form to give my brother an extra few minutes if he needs it. Is he here on virtual? Right, now,
believe
Bill
so.
McGrath. He's planning to speak and sometimes he runs over.
Oh, okay.
So I'm giving him a few extra minutes. He's that way. But anyway, I wanted to, one thing to point out. Diamond Cave, Circle K is not related to Diamond Cave. I don't know why we have these caves. But I know why we do, but I don't know, but we have no relation. And Diamond Cave's hours are 7:30 to 3:30. That's how we operate, and we are not open on weekends, so I don't know about the, deliveries on weekends. But anyway, that's me, and I'm just deferring my minutes, if I may, to my brother.
Okay, thank you, Ann. But he's online right now?
Yeah, was that the last in person? Should we shift to the
Yes,
online?
yeah, unless, did anyone, I miss anyone? I don't think so. Okay, other than, he's gonna go for the applicant, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
There.
muted.
Just making sure.
One of those, weird.
We have a-
Okay. So I'm allowing Bill McGrath to speak.
So he'll get
He
what,
will join.
4.5 minutes then roughly, something like that.
Yeah, connected to it.
Bill McGrath. Oh, no. Hang on one second. I'm not sure how to eliminate the feedback. Apologize. Guys, I'm not sure, yeah, again, why that's happening. Bill, I'm going to put myself on mute and turn my volume up so you can speak. Thank you.
I thought I heard. So,
There. Someone just called. I just got a text. He said I can't hear. Maybe I can put them on speaker or something. Would you like me to do that? And the 3 minutes are almost.
Hello?
I didn't mean to restart that, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear
Hello?
us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, if you can hear me, if somebody can hear me, can you just tell me that?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Bill McGrath. I'm one of 3 members of the McGrath family, which are the 2nd generation owners of Diamond Cave Supply. My family has owned Diamond Cave for 76 years. We are very concerned about access and parking for our customers. I want to say, first of all, I appeared at the original March 18th meeting and spoke then. My sister appeared. I apologize for not being present. I'm in the middle of a 24-day trial in Reno. I'm a lawyer and I am on day 18, so I can't be in Lafayette or I would be there to speak in person. My sister is there. You already heard from her. I appreciate her showing up in person. My family has always been Lafayette oriented. We went to all elementary school, high school. We're both, all of us are Alcalanes graduates. Our brother sadly passed away. He ran the store for 27 years. My dad ran the store until he died for 48 years. We are really big supporters of Lafayette. We believe in Lafayette. We believe in helping our customers.
I want to say that after the last meeting, I have had two very pleasant conversations with the owners of the Circle K. And both the architect and Mike, the owner, could not have been nicer. The last meeting, they had the traffic engineer there. Here's my biggest concern, and I know that the chairman didn't mean to suggest that if there's too little parking, the business will suffer and will go away. I hope he wasn't referring to Diamond K. Our concern is that my business might suffer if you have 1,578 daily trips, 1,574 daily trips. I want to emphasize this. When I spoke at the first meeting, I thought there were only 614 daily trips. But the traffic engineer's report and even the supplement he filed in the last couple of days confirms 1,574 daily trips. And that's from a book that he has and he uses to be conservative. Now, the owner, who really does know how to run convenience markets, because I think he has 30 or so and is very successful at that, he thinks he'll have 300 customers, whereas
Bill, we've lost you. Okay.
Wait, here it is.
can you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm pretty persistent. Sorry about that. But I want to emphasize that I'm very concerned, and I leave it up to you, the members of the planning commissions who volunteer your time to serve in this position, which Diamond K and McGrath family appreciate. You're the conscience of the community. You have to decide whether you can make those findings or not. I am concerned about double parking of trucks. And I can tell you that Diamond K has a big loading zone to the west of us, and the trucks still park behind the diagonal cars parked in front of our business. They run in, drop something off, and they run off, hoping to beat the traffic control. But my bigger concern also is that the report concludes that 60% of the traffic is coming from downtown Lafayette, and then going to have to make a U-turn in front of my business. Right now, they have poured the concrete barrier that Tony Coe, the former city engineer, insisted upon, and that barrier will protect traffic in the left turn lane into the city offices. But there's a driveway entrance at the end of the island which accesses Diamond K, and that was part of the Lennar agreement. And my fear is every one of those 60% of those drivers, which is according to the math, around 900 daily trips, are going to be making a U-turn in front of my store. They are going to queue up. They're going to block traffic on a narrow section on the westbound Mount Diablo Boulevard. And you have to picture, I hope you take out your phone, look at your map, because Google Maps shows you how narrow this gap is. There's two traffic lanes between a landscaped island and the bike lane. And remember, every car parked in front of my business, as well as the Circle K, have to back out diagonally into the traffic across the bike lane. And all I'm saying is, you all know the traffic that occurs when Waze directs everyone through good old Lafayette. Our fear is that we're going to have traffic which is going to cause problems. I worry about parking, and I'm afraid that, we're hoping we can make it 12 more years to make 100 years in Lafayette. We've been there 88 years. We hope that we don't get shut out because we can't get our customers to park at our store, and that's our concern. But I will tell you, I have worked with the neighbors and the owners of the Circle K. They're good people, but at the same time, I just think this is a problem, will become a nuisance, and will cause problems for enforcement, as well as for that reason, I don't think you can make the findings. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. My sister and I, and my sister-in-law, my brother's widow, all appreciate what you do for Lafayette. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the last speaker? Okay. Then we will turn it back to the applicant for a rebuttal. How long did they get?
5 minutes.
Okay, we'll give them a little extra time.
Okay, I'll start first.
Yeah.
Okay, so regarding the traffic that Mr. McGrath is concerned, most of the traffic and the issue, and it is in the memo, traffic memo is in existing traffic, and I wanna turn that to our traffic engineer to discuss this item, and then I will touch on a couple items. Go ahead.
Good afternoon again. Kind of talking over the, some of the bullet points that were made. There's two types of trips that are really assigned to a road network. One of them is called trips of convenience, and one of them is called U trips, primary trips. Trips for convenience are on the road already. You're going from your home to your office, and you want to grab coffee on the way. So you pull in, make a stop, go grab your coffee, and then go back on the road. That's a pass-by trip. According to ITE, about a little more than half of trips, auto trips that are assigned to a road network that use a facility like a convenience store is generally a pass-by trip. I think the number is 61% for ITE land use 851, which is a convenience store. Majority of the U-turning base, the reason why there's that 60% is it's a conservative value. That is what the Contra Costa County model dictates. It's what the Contra Costa County dictates. However, when we do the traffic study, we assume that all those trips are usually vehicle trips. And the reason why is we want to make sure that your traffic signals are going to work just as fine with or without the belt. It is the conservative approach to measuring traffic operations. Our client expects that there to be a lot less trips than what was indicated in that. Looking at some of the data from ITE and isolating those on the Pacific Coast, looking at the most recent data, ITE has data all the way back from the 1980s up until 2016. It shows about half of that reduction if you're only accounting for the last 10 years. So you're looking at about 418 trips as opposed to, I think it's 600 trips there. So it is a substantial reduction in the number of expected daily trips. And again, 61% of those would be considered pass-by if you're not accounting for any pedestrian use, if you're not accounting for any bicycle use.
Thank you.
Okay, and I heard the neighbor talk about the security and crime in the neighborhood. It's basically not limited to business, to Circle K business. Safeway has crime, 7-Eleven has crime. It depends on the area. And the owner also own a gas station on Mount Diablo First. So he's aware of what's going on in downtown, and he think this store will be successful. They will have like at least 20 cameras inside and outside the store. Regarding the idling of the truck, most of the customer that we think is they're going to be mostly pedestrian because of the location of the store. And we are open to put a sign if required by the city, no idling when they park in front of the store. Regarding the comparison, which I talked about that, we cannot compare, Safeway, Trader Joe's with the convenience store because of the type of service coming in and out. And that side of the town, they don't have a convenience store.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on something that staff had said when you asked about whether you can enforce a condition of approval that prohibits double parking. And the answer is yes, there is a process to do so. It is a process, I agree with staff, but it can be enforced and be a code enforcement issue. So the city could in fact enforce that. And just to make it clear, the owner and the applicant owns the building. He owns the building next door. His office is next door. That's where he does business. That's where he is on a regular daily basis, as are the officers, directors, and employees of his company. So they're there to enforce the rules and regulations that they're going to apply to that store on a daily basis.
Any questions for applicant?
Just thinking through and understanding the type of traffic, the different kinds of users, and then the concerns brought up by the neighborhood. In terms of, well, it seems to me that, and I didn't see whether you had like specific data on this, but it makes sense to me that people that live in the area would use it, but the kind of use that it is draws in a user that's passing through. So like to me, if it, I think of like some smaller towns where there's a little general store and it sort of serves this type of purpose, but it feels very like of the place and it's usually there when a larger grocery store isn't available. And even in San Francisco, where like the grocery stores are sort of, there's whole huge neighborhood areas that don't have access to a Trader Joe's. So the residents often go to the convenience store. In this case, because the grocery stores are right there, I can imagine that, like, I don't know, some percentage of the residents would use the convenience store because it's quicker and because maybe it has like certain items that they want. But it seems like it would be drawing in a whole new user that's passing through. And specifically, like, I like the shorter hours, but I think Trader Joe's closes at 9. So it's going to be people that, I mean, I was thinking, well, if someone's coming home late at night, they need something at Trader, that they would normally get at Trader Joe's, but Trader Joe's is closed. Maybe they would stop at the convenience store, but also those people are right near their homes. So they're more likely, I mean, there's a possibility they're just going to go home because they may have what they need at home. So to me, it feels like it would draw people off the freeway, just passing through. And so I understand where like the idea of crime, I mean, we always want to talk about things here with data because we all have sort of senses and feelings and fears and anxieties, but we want to come back to data. And I don't have any data on that. So I guess I'm thinking more of like, what would you say about basically bringing a new type of user, like a passing through versus like serving the community? And one other thought I had was on the East End where we have other convenience stores. There are neighborhoods and like multifamily housing, but there is a whole strip that's businesses. So I imagine that they're really serving a lot of the employees and people visiting the businesses. And this west end of town feels a little bit different. So I'm trying to envision how it's enriching the community there rather than sort of like bringing in a new type of activity that maybe doesn't feel like it fits the character of that part of downtown.
I'm just gonna give you a data point. The 7-Eleven robberies occurred early in the morning, 1 a.m., 12:50 p.m. and after. That's very different from this particular convenience store, which we'll pull that up. So that late night risk is not going to be there. Actually, the criminals coming off the freeway to head up a store and get back off. It's also a different part of town. Yeah, the immediate on-off access isn't there, even for people driving through. They'd have to get off at the north end of Monte Diablo, drive all that way, past the reservoir, through the lights, in order to get to the store. Unlikely that that's going to be a draw for off-freeway traffic.
Well, we've experienced that when we look at the traffic studies for a lot of different projects in this area, there is a draw. I mean, it's a very easy, like, you look and it's like, oh, I hop off, I shoot down and I get back on. So it really is a pretty popular pass through, and we've seen that in the data. I'm gonna ask you a really naive question. In my mind, if this was a sort of like a mini supermarket, and it had a name that was like it wasn't a franchise, it was like a general store type name, then people wouldn't be Googling 7-Eleven, Circle K on their phone when they're driving on the freeway and saying they're going to hop off, and it would really become more of a service for the community. Is the franchise like a done deal? Is that something that's part of the business?
Well, the owner owns a lot of Circle K, he has experience with it. That's why, they would open a Circle K. They think it's gonna be very successful, especially there is a residential project, coming in across the street. Residents gonna be using that store, for, quick trip, get a gallon of milk or drink or snack, on their way. The neighboring business, they will use it. They think it's gonna be successful.
And say that, the owner's expectation is that the traffic will become the condominium project across the street and all the businesses that are there and that are going in, as the neighbors themselves acknowledge that home businesses coming in. And that's who the expectation is. It will be served, and there'll be pedestrian traffic, maybe some bike traffic in the cities already accounting.
I can't remember, do you know the uses on the first floor of the project across the street? Is it restaurants? There's nothing like this use?
There's nothing like this.
The brew pub.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Um,
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on Commissioner Sturm's, and this is. In my area, my concern is crime, but different from traffic. Police departments, a mile and a half down the road, they'll get it. They'll block off the Mount Diablo. My concern is, hey, somebody's got a gun, they're gonna run, and the best way to do it is off the back fence, and let's face it, if they get back in that area, nobody's gonna be able to root them out, the police aren't. And, you know, areas where you have communities and small children and people running from pretty serious consequences, you know, that's the concern that I have there. I just want to toss it out and see how you group respond to that concern.
Before, can I just,
let me-
or chair, please?
So let's, right now, if we have questions for the applicant, let's ask questions of the applicant. If not, let's bring it back to the commission and we can discuss.
Well, no,
So if you have a question,
The question was, it's a, you know, a general concern from everybody here is safety of the people behind it. So I was just tossing out a, you know, a scenario where I see that they are concerned about, and I wanted to give you a chance to specifically address it, because we've had conversations with crime as related to traffic, but not that much. The question was, you know, in fact, the neighbors, right, that shared the fence with you. That was obviously a concern of hers. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to specifically address that concern, whether it's a real concern or imaginary or whatever, but you know, let's make sure they understand that there is some concern there.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, the criminals that comes from the highway to Mount Diablo Boulevard, they come not specifically for convenience store, they come for any store on their way. This is, hours of operation, is gonna stay until 11. Until 11, you have a cashier and an employee with security cameras and around the building and around the corner. That's gonna provide security for the neighborhood. Comparing to an empty space right now, somebody can break in and mobilize there and attack the neighbors at night. So when you have the building occupied with a business that, you know, stay until 11 o'clock, that's gonna help the neighborhood. I mean, you know, gas stations and corner that is open 24 hours is basically watching the intersection for the neighbors. That's true.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other specific questions for the applicant? Hold on, sir.
No, but I have a question for staff based off that, but I can wait till.
Why don't we bring it back to the commission? We finished with public comment, sir. Is it a public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. We've already finished that. So I'm gonna move on. I hate to do that, but I wanna keep this on track. Okay, so I'm bringing it back to the commission, but before we do that, I wanna remind everyone, there's a lot of good opinions and everyone has their own. We live in a free country and that's how it is, and that's good. I just want to remind you, we have a specific job up here, and that's to decide based on the presentation if we can support the findings. So it means there's certain things I might like or dislike about the use, the applicant, the owner, the neighbors. That doesn't matter, okay? It all comes back to the findings. Now, those can come into some of the findings, and I'm saying this because we are trying to be passionate about this for the benefit of the applicant and for the benefit of all the neighbors. We all live here too, you know, and we can't remove that from our decisions, but we have specific findings. So everyone up here knows that, but I would like us to, as we discuss this, correlate them to the findings and what you're thinking so we can get through this and get to a decision. Okay. So I've said that. Anything, anyone wants to start up some discussions about where we are in this?
I wanted to ask a question of staff, if they know. Do you know the hours of the gas station that's on the next corner? Like,
Chevron?
Mhm.
I think they're open until 10 PM. The one right here, right, at Happy Valley.
By Wells Fargo.
No, yeah, the one by Wells, across from Wells Fargo.
Yeah, they close at 10 PM.
10
Yeah,
p.m.
5 a.m. to 5, well, according to Google, it's 5 a.m. to 11. But that's
I
just.
was trying to get gas there after a late meeting and they were closed.
Yeah, so when I was thinking, I go down to the east end and there's one, I think they close at 9, like the ones across from Shell. So for the most part, as far as we know, most of the gas stations along Mount Diablo close at 10, 11.
Yeah, there are 2 7-Eleven stores in Lafayette, more on the east side, and both are open 24/7.
I
One
think.
7-Eleven. Two
Type,
convenience stores, yes.
you said type.
Got it. Yes, type.
Convenience stores, okay, anyone up here have anything they wanna?
Yeah.
I'll kick it off.
Just a number of things. We talked about parking. Parking came up in this discussion as well as the first hearing. And what we talked about in the first hearing, that AB 2097 allows this use because it's within a half mile apart, then they're not required for on-site parking. I disagree with it. I think AB 2097 doesn't work, and I don't like that. But I don't get a say. That's some state law that came out of Sacramento from some legislator. So having said that, I don't think we can't ding the applicant for not providing parking that they are not required to provide. There's parking in front of the street, on the street, that is free to everybody. The Diamond K people can use that parking in front of Circle K. Likewise, the Circle K people could park in front of Diamond K. It's free parking. It's just like if someone parks in front of my house on my street, that's not my parking spot. So that's my thought about parking. And back to the owner owning 30 Circle Ks and this being a test store, I think that's totally appropriate. I think with the project across the street, I think it's really gonna test not only the pass by trips that TJKM staff person spoke to, but it's gonna test the people, are people really gonna walk from that residential project across the street? Are people gonna bike there? I think yes. Now, is it gonna generate enough revenue to support this type of business? We'll find out. If it doesn't, the business is going to go up under. If the property owner thinks it's gonna work, then go for it. As the chair said, we're up here to talk about land use. We're not the police department. Even though I live on the west end, east end of town by the 7-Eleven, I'm concerned about crime too, but I also lived in Oakland 10 years before I moved here. And I can tell everybody, and I think everyone will agree, we have no crime here compared to Oakland. So we shouldn't be crying about crime because it's one of the safest neighborhoods that's why we all moved here. And that's why we raised our families here. Our kids go to school here. So I hear the comments about crime, but this land use is an approved land use in the city of Lafayette. It conforms to the general plan and the downtown specific plan. And I don't think that we can prohibit this use and allow the property owner to enjoy the use of their property. And Andy made the comment that he's pro-business. I'm pro-business. My wife used to own a shop here in town. I'm also pro-development rights of a property owner. So if this property owner wants to try this business out, they should, and it meets all the requirements in the city of Lafayette, they have the right to be able to try it out. As far as the double parking, and this is why I asked the question of the traffic consultant. If the peak hour is at 4 p.m., starting at 4 p.m., I think we could craft a condition of approval that, well, let me back up. regarding the deliveries and the comparison to Starbucks. Starbucks doesn't have a spot in the back with a lift like this place will have. Those trucks we talked about at the first hearing are 20-foot delivery trucks. They can fit down that narrow driveway. They can maneuver in the back. The turn templates work. The truck can pull in. It can turn around and get out. They're going to use the lift in the back. And if there's an opportunity to load, do the deliveries in the back, they're going to use it. Why would they double park out front, especially if they know they're blocking traffic? And if they do, we can put a condition of approval that says no double parking. Just no double parking, period. I'm gonna stop for now, because I think I pretty much made my points. I'm reiterating some of the points I made at the first hearing. I was a sole supporter of this at the first hearing. I'm still able to make the findings, and I support this project, and I believe this property owner has the right to develop at this location. And I'll stop right there.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Raymond?
You know, from the last meeting, I had the opposing view. I still think I can't make findings 1 and 5. I still think it's a threat to public safety. Biggest concern is the trucks and double parking, and the specific concern is bike riders in the path, because you have angled parking. And if a car is double parked and somebody backs out and the bike is going east, then there's no place for them to go because they're pinned in by the delivery truck, or possibly swinging out into traffic. That whole area is a mess to begin with, and I just like the east end of town where you have the car wash, and everybody goes past the island, takes a U-turn across the pair of double yellow lines to get in the car wash. I see them doing the same thing here, and just making that backup commute traffic even worse. So I can't make, you know, just like last meeting, I can't make findings 1 through 5. I'll say I've already said everything, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Have any comments, feedback?
I can wait till the end.
Well, I'd like to wait till the end,
Oh,
so. If you
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm still struggling with findings A and C. But to be honest, I'm having trouble, sort of quantifying it. I think the nature of the use will change the character of that section, and it will, I mean, just because we don't have this concern about, say, crime. It's not quantified. We have no studies about it. So I was trying to sort of break it down, like, what is the issue that's bothering me, and how can I sort of be really objective about it. And I think it's the pulling people through just to go to that store and go out. Like, other uses within the downtown sort of complement each other, and they enrich the community. And I'm not saying that this doesn't belong anywhere. It just feels like it's on sort of a quieter end of downtown. It's mostly residential area. The other businesses there are also relatively quiet with different hours and sort of less traffic, and it's happening right at the and I can't really speak to the traffic. I'm not too worried about the trucks, and I do think that this section of road and the 2 intersections bookending this area are going to get a lot. It's going to be a lot different than what it is now once the residential project is up and running, and those businesses, like, it's going to change. And hopefully we've been projecting and managing the increased traffic, but I think my main concern is just the, safety and property values just in I think rooted in the fact that it would be a different kind of business that's encouraging passing through rather than like serving the local community or serving visitors in a way that they're sort of, sticking in town, but anyway, I'm struggling because I want to be really objective and be able to quantify.
Well, I think part of us talking to, maybe something will jar or something. This isn't just everyone. I do want us to cross communicate. So if you want to pause and see if anyone else maybe it'll help you clarify or get them. Vice Chair.
Just a question for staff. So just so I'm clear, the application is for 5 AM to 1 AM, but staff is recommending 7 AM to 11 PM
That's
hours
correct.
of operation?
Yes.
Okay, so the application in front of us is to operate 5 AM to 1 AM.
If approved, the conditions of approval would require that change.
Okay, thank you. Well, first I will say, I do appreciate that members of the community came out this time. It was something I complained about in our first meeting, that we had one speaker for a project that's going to affect the entire community. So I think it's awesome people came out, no matter someone's stance on the project. I think that's great. I still am unable to make findings 1 and 5, more so 5, but both of them I'm unable to make. The applicant's attorney mentioned that double parking by a truck on Mount Diablo would be a code enforcement issue. And item 5 is about enforcement. Finding number 5 is about enforcement. Will not create a nuisance or enforcement problem within the neighborhood. I cannot make that finding, also backed up by the applicant's attorney. Just check the notes here. I understand it would be an enforcement problem that then would result or, defer to law enforcement to handle, which then takes away resources from other things that one business is using. I think those are my points. I shared everything at our last meeting.
All right, I'll say it. I'm reminding myself that we're not, it doesn't matter what the business is, as long as it's a use that's allowed. I still think that, I kind of feel if the owner didn't own the building though, this wouldn't be going in there because I just don't see how it's gonna survive, but that's not really our decision or need to worry about, so. I might feel that way because I'm in retail, but it doesn't matter. But in terms of the findings, which does matter, and which is what we're supposed to be making, I cannot support E or 5, which is create a nuisance or enforcement problem. I did think that Commissioner Heising, I thought you were gonna bring up something about like some kind of condition that maybe they couldn't load or unload in the afternoon. Were you thinking about that, or did I just think you were gonna?
Well, I was thinking about that, but then if we just have a condition that's no double parking, that would address it.
Okay,
So,
they're gonna break one link, right?
I mean,
Okay, yeah,
if there's a lift in the back and they're truly gonna use that back area, which I believe they will because it's built for that, then they shouldn't be double parking. So why have a restriction on deliveries
yeah, okay,
if they're gonna use the back all the time? So that, I was going there with the whole peak hour, PM peak, like to recommend a condition that prohibits deliveries after, say, 4 PM. But if they're not double parking, let them deliver till 7.
yeah, okay. So I still struggle with the parking, and I don't want it to be an enforcement issue, and since we can't tie it to a more, sorry,
Well, I'm just gonna argue with you.
okay, please.
The parking we can't make parking an issue because of AB.
No, I'm not talking about parking.
You said,
I meant loading. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Oh, okay.
loading.
All right.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Loading. I don't like the parking, but you're right, we can't, and I moved on. But loading, I think that's an enforcement issue. I don't think having whatever mechanism do, I've just seen it my entire professional career, trucks are not going to. I kind of wonder how many times have we ticketed the truck that goes to Starbucks? Cause it's there every other day. It stalls me all the time. I'm gonna pull over and ask. 'Cause I mean, it to me, and I don't mean to put that on you guys, but clearly it's not stopping them, so why would it stop anyone? So anyways, I'm gonna just get back to the finding. I can't support that, so that's where I am. So does anyone else have anything? Otherwise, we probably could do a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Could I possibly point to something that's
No,
in the file?
we're right now, we're.
Yeah, we're,
Already in the file, but. yeah,
Because we let the person behind you, we prevent him from speaking also.
Yeah.
So we have to,
and so we're in the deliberation part. I know it's frustrating, but this is how it works. So, does anyone have anything up there? Okay. So how about this? I'm gonna let you talk, because you had something, and then you can say something, because I want to get it out. I just want to get it out. No, I
We
get
have
it.
to reopen public comment for anyone online.
That's
I'd like to
true.
make another
Okay.
comment.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, we should.
All right, check and checkmate. All right. So if no one else, Commissioner Heising, what do you have?
I move that we find the project exempt from CEQA and adopt resolution 2024-3, approving the project subject to conditions.
Do we have a second? All right, I don't think we have a second, so, would anyone else like to make a motion?
I can make a motion,
Thank you.
or, sorry, go
I
ahead.
just had a question for, am I the only one that's worried about security or
well,
like the
If
transient
it's-
use?
if we can't make one finding, then it fails. Whether or not it's security, or as I understand, or whether or not it's enforcement. We
I mean,
can't,
each one of us, if you can't, I can't make a finding, so I can't support.
But we
this.
can't make different, I mean,
we can
Yeah, we
make,
can.
yeah,
Every single person.
no, but right now it sounds like we're having, well, you guys are having some overlap with the findings that you can't make, but I don't feel so worried about the truck.
but it doesn't matter. If you can't, you have to be able to support all 5 findings
Yeah.
to support. So you can, the 4 of us can each not support a different finding,
Yeah.
and we'd all have to vote against it.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. It's not gonna make the vote at this point. I just was,
But it's a good point, but I don't think it matters. I think you just, each one, I know I can't make one finding, so I know how I'm going to vote. So if everyone knows where they are, let's do a motion and see where we end up.
I'll make a motion. So the path that I cannot make finding A, which is related to safety. And the path that I cannot make finding 5, which is related to enforcement. I would like to make a motion that. The project is exempt from CEQA. And that we deny the project per resolution 2024-07. Which is the PC denial resolution.
One second,
Second,
all in favor of the denial?
Wait, Not in
I'm-
favor of the not denial.
It's,
All in
It's a-
favor of the denial resolution?
Yeah.
All in favor of the denial resolution that you just proposed? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the denial resolution?
nay.
Okay, so the denial resolution passes 4-1 with Commissioner Heising in the nay, everyone else in the aye. Yeah, 15 days. You have 15 days to appeal this to the city council. And I want to thank everyone for coming out, like Vice Chair said, and we will move on to the next business.
and for the record, the appeal to the city council is a de novo, so they start from scratch, which means that it's called a de novo, so they start, everything starts from scratch. They'll take your comments, they'll take the applicants, any additional studies, whatever.
Okay, so that was our continued public hearing, new public hearing. And anyone, you're welcome to stay. Well, you're welcome to leave.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
No new public. Hearing, I don't see anything. Okay, so, there's nothing on there. And then other businesses, art volunteer for the 17th. Anyone? Anyone? I can't. Sorry. What is it, 17th? I know it's.
Okay, how about you can put me down for the 17th?
Do you want like to check in that week to make sure?
It was great.
Mostly to remind me. Yes.
All right, commissioners report.
I will not be able to make the next two meetings.
Good point. Thank you. Hold on. And I will not, so the next two you're out, so the next one is the 20th, and I will not be able to make that. But I can make the third, so are you guys able to write that down? Or just,
Commissioner Mason will not make the next two meetings. You will not be at the 20th.
right, so
So the next one meeting, the 20th,
the 20th, we'll
No.
definitely have two of us who won't be
no
there.
Levon, no me.
Mason. Everyone else?
When are the June meetings?
The 20th of May and then the 3rd of June.
Okay.
So maybe just the 20th, but we should, if we need 4 for quorum.
For,
Are we down a member or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
John, he's in the city council.
Oh, right, okay.
I didn't believe it till I saw it, but he was there.
I already emailed staff that I won't be here for the 17th and the of June and the 1st.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I emailed staff,
June 17th and July 1st.
yeah.
Good point. Any other planning, commissioners reports, any other commissioners reports? Planning director?
I have no reports.
Okay, could I, before we adjourn, I struggle with emails. Does anyone else have that problem? I
Like reading them.
yeah.
Accidentally deleting them.
Lafayette emails the last one I checked.
I get so many emails in my life that I was just dawned on me that wouldn't it be neat if we were on WhatsApp, just not to talk, just to like confirm
Yeah.
showing up or something like that, but I don't want to create a firestorm because that's probably a Brown Act issue. Couldn't you have it one way only now? Anyways, okay, never mind. I feel bad for Michael. He's always calling me at the last minute. I'm like,
He
oh.
does that to me also, so I think it's part of his job description.
All right, well, I think we're done. We're adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Come on, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.